There comes a moment when almost everyone feels it. You open social media. Someone your age just bought a house. Another launched a business. Someone else is celebrating a promotion, a new car, or another milestone that makes your own progress feel invisible. For a moment, it seems like everyone is moving forward except you. So you start asking the wrong question. What am I doing wrong? But what if feeling behind financially has less to do with your bank account and more to do with the way you're measuring your life? The truth is, wealth rarely grows on the same timeline for everyone. Some people build it early, others build it quietly. Most build it so slowly that nobody notices until years later. The danger isn't being behind today. The danger is making desperate decisions because you believe you're running out of time. This isn't a story about getting rich overnight. It's about understanding why the race you're trying to win may have been pointing in the wrong direction all along. Imagine two people graduating on the same day, same age, similar education, similar ambitions. 5 years later, one owns a home. The other is renting a small apartment and wondering where they went wrong. From the outside, the conclusion seems obvious. One is winning. The other is falling behind. But appearances are experts at hiding the full story. The homeowner may be carrying a mortgage that leaves little room to breathe. The renter may be quietly building savings, paying off debt, or investing in skills that will increase future income. Neither story is visible. Yet most people compare visible milestones, not invisible foundations. That's how the race begins. Not because someone told you to compete, because every day you're surrounded by carefully selected moments from other people's lives. Promotions, vacations, new businesses, new cars, engagements, homes. Each one feels like evidence that everyone else has figured life out. Slowly, your own timeline starts feeling late. So you rush. You make financial decisions to catch up instead of move forward. You stretch your budget for a car you don't truly need. You rent an apartment that impresses strangers more than it serves your future. You say yes to expenses because saying no feels like admitting you're behind. That's the trap. The feeling of being behind can become more expensive than actually being behind. Because once your decisions are driven by comparison instead of purpose, your money begins chasing someone else's definition of success. And no matter how fast you run, you'll never reach a finish line that keeps moving. Here's something that rarely gets mentioned. Financial success almost never happens in a straight line. It moves in stages. Some people find the right career at 23, others spend years in jobs that lead nowhere before discovering what they're actually good at. Some start investing early. Others don't make their first investment until their 30s. Some build businesses that fail twice, 3 times, before one finally works. From the outside, those years look like failure. From the inside, they're building something invisible: experience, judgment, skills, confidence. The problem is, we only compare outcomes. We almost never compare timelines. Think about the people you admire: the entrepreneur, the investor, the executive. You see where they are today. You rarely see the years when nothing seemed to be happening. The rejected applications, the failed interviews, the nights spent learning after work, the weekends everyone else enjoyed while they quietly built another skill. Those chapters don't usually make it onto social media, but they're often the reason success arrived later. That's why feeling behind can be so misleading. You may be standing in the middle of your own foundation while comparing it to someone else's finished building. One isn't better than the other, they're simply at different stages. The mistake is assuming your current position determines your final destination. It doesn't. Direction matters far more than speed, because someone moving quickly in the wrong direction only gets lost faster, while someone making steady progress toward the right destination quietly builds a future that lasts. The goal isn't to reach someone else's milestone first. The goal is to arrive at your own destination with a life you can actually sustain. And once you understand that, you stop asking, "Why am I behind?" You start asking a much better question. Am I moving in the right direction? That's the question that changes everything. There's a quiet pressure that follows almost everyone in their 20s, not to become successful, to look successful. It starts with small upgrades: a nicer apartment, a newer phone, a car that feels like proof you've made it. None of those things are wrong on their own. The problem begins when they become evidence. Evidence that you're keeping up. Evidence that you're not falling behind. Evidence that your life looks the way it was supposed to. Modern life makes this incredibly easy. Almost everything can be financed. Almost everything can be paid monthly, which means you can look wealthier long before you actually become wealthier. That's where the illusion begins. Someone earning a modest salary can appear financially comfortable. Someone quietly building real wealth can appear ordinary. From the outside, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. That's why appearances are such a dangerous financial guide. They show the purchase, never the payment. They show the vacation, never the credit card balance waiting at home. They show the new house, never the years of financial pressure that may come with it. The truth is, some of the wealthiest people you'll ever meet don't look wealthy at all. And some of the people who look the wealthiest are working every month just to maintain the image. That's because real wealth and visible wealth are rarely the same thing. One is measured by what people can see. The other is measured by the choices you can make when nobody is watching. Can you walk away from a job you hate? Can you handle an unexpected expense without panic? Can you say no to an opportunity that isn't right because you have time to wait for a better one? Those are the moments that reveal financial strength, not the logo on your clothes, not the car in your driveway, not the photos on your profile. Because the goal was never to impress strangers. The goal was to quietly build a life where your money gives you freedom instead of something you constantly have to defend. And once you stop spending money to prove you're moving forward, you finally give yourself the chance to actually move forward. Think back to the first time you earned your own money. It probably didn't feel like much, but it felt like the beginning of something. Then life got more expensive. Rent increased, groceries cost more, insurance, transportation, and everyday bills quietly took a larger share of every paycheck. It started to feel like you were running harder, just to stay in the same place. That's when many people begin believing everyone else has discovered a shortcut. They haven't. They've simply been playing different games. Some people focus on earning more. Others focus on keeping more. The people who quietly build wealth learn to do both. Every raise becomes an opportunity, not just to improve their lifestyle, but to improve their future. Instead of allowing every extra dollar to disappear into new monthly payments, they protect part of it. A little today, a little more next year, then a little more after that. At first, it feels insignificant. The account grows slowly. The progress is almost invisible. But that's exactly how compounding works. It rewards consistency long before it rewards size. Most people underestimate what small decisions can become when repeated for years. They overestimate what one big decision can accomplish overnight. That's why financial progress often feels unfair. The person who looks like they suddenly got ahead may have spent years making choices no one noticed, skipping upgrades, building an emergency fund, learning new skills after work, investing before buying something they could technically afford. None of those moments were exciting. None of them attracted attention. But together, they created momentum. And momentum is powerful, because once your money begins working alongside your effort, instead of depending entirely on it, every year becomes slightly easier than the one before. That's when you realize something important. The people who seem far ahead didn't always move faster. They simply started building momentum before everyone else realized how valuable it would become. One of the most expensive financial habits isn't something you buy. It's something you believe. The belief that you're running out of time. Once that idea takes hold, patience starts feeling like failure. You stop making careful decisions. You start making urgent ones. You invest in things you don't understand because someone else made money doing it. You stretch your budget for a lifestyle that looks successful. You take on debt, hoping your future self will somehow solve today's problems. The strange part is that none of this happens because you're careless. It happens because you're scared of being left behind. Comparison creates artificial deadlines. By 30, you should own a house. By 32, you should have a luxury car. By 35, you should already be financially secure. But life doesn't work on a universal timeline. Everyone begins from a different starting point. Different families, different opportunities, different responsibilities, different setbacks. Comparing your Chapter 3 to someone else's Chapter 10 will always make you feel late. And feeling late often leads to expensive decisions. The people who quietly build lasting wealth rarely chase someone else's schedule. They focus on building a stronger foundation than they had yesterday. That's a race you can actually win, because the only financial comparison that truly matters is the one between who you were a year ago and who you are today. Are you saving more than last year? Do you understand money better than last year? Have you reduced debt, built new skills, created more options? Those are real signs of progress. They won't always impress other people, but they will quietly change your future. The moment you stop trying to keep up with everyone else, you stop spending money proving where you are, and you start investing in where you're actually going. That's when progress becomes personal. And personal progress is the only kind that lasts. If you feel behind financially, there's one thing you need to remember. Your future isn't built by where you are today. It's built by what you repeat tomorrow. That's good news, because habits can change, skills can be learned, income can grow, mistakes can be corrected. The only thing that never returns is time. That's why the smartest financial decision isn't always the one that makes you the most money this year. It's the one that gives your future self more opportunities. Think about someone who spends 5 years learning valuable skills: negotiating, selling, writing, managing, building. Those skills don't disappear after one paycheck. They keep producing value for decades. The same is true for financial habits. Learning to live below your means, saving before spending, avoiding unnecessary debt, investing consistently. None of those decisions feel dramatic today, but they quietly reshape the next 10 years. This is where many people finally stop feeling behind. Not because their bank account suddenly explodes, because they stop measuring progress by appearances. They begin measuring it by freedom. Can I handle an emergency? Can I invest every month? Can I leave a job that's making me miserable? Can I make decisions without constant financial fear? Those questions matter far more than whether someone else bought a bigger house this year. The people who build lasting wealth don't wake up one morning and magically become financially free. They build a little more margin every month. Then they protect it. Eventually, that margin becomes confidence, and confidence becomes the foundation for every opportunity that follows. Go back to the beginning of this story. You opened your phone. You looked at everyone else's progress, and you wondered if you were already too late. Now ask yourself a different question. What if the people you're comparing yourself to aren't actually your competition? What if they're simply living a different story, a different timeline, a different set of circumstances? The moment you stop racing against strangers, you recover something incredibly valuable: focus. Instead of wondering how fast someone else is moving, you start paying attention to your own direction. That's when real progress begins. Because wealth isn't built by winning a race against other people. It's built by making hundreds of decisions that your future self will quietly thank you for. Some of those decisions will feel boring. Some will feel invisible. Some will even make you wonder if they're worth it. Keep making them anyway. One day you'll look back and realize the gap between where you were and where you've become wasn't created by one lucky break. It was created by ordinary choices repeated long, enough to become extraordinary results. If you feel behind today, don't let that feeling decide your future. Let it remind you to build one. Because being behind isn't permanent. Giving up is. And the most successful financial stories rarely begin with someone who is already ahead. They begin with someone who decided that today would not define the rest of their life. If this video changed the way you think about being behind, don't let it end here. Take 10 minutes today and look at your financial life honestly, not through someone else's timeline, through your own. Ask yourself one simple question. What is one decision I can make this week that my future self will thank me for? Maybe it's starting an emergency fund. Maybe it's paying off high-interest debt. Maybe it's learning a skill that increases your income. Whatever it is, start there. Because financial freedom isn't built in one dramatic moment. It's built through quiet decisions that almost nobody notices until years later. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more cinematic finance stories about money, psychology, business, and the hidden systems shaping everyday life. Remember, the goal was never to catch up with everyone else. The goal was to build a life where you no longer feel the need to.